Okay, I've been informed that there's some alterations in the timeline and it's starting to mess with me. People are still asking me to do Pro Brutal Doom. I don't know what these people are talking about. I did Pro Brutal Doom months ago. Wow, this mod kicks ass!
I have seen the future of horror. His name is Clive Barker.
Oh, it's October, it's time for spooky games again, and instead of playing a terrible game that makes my soul hurt, you know, like,
We got white pussy, black pussy, Spanish pussy, yellow pussy, we got hot pussy, cold pussy, we got wet pussy.
Yeah. Now, this time we're in underappreciated classics mode, with a little game called Clive Barker's Undying. That Clive Barker game that was well received but didn't sell so good? Not Clive Barker's Jericho, a game I've never played that has a bad reputation. Undying is a completely different story. Developed by what used to be DreamWorks Game Studios, makers of such hits as... Oh no. Developed by DreamWorks Interactive before they got bought out by EA and became part of EA Los Angeles. And since they were bought out by EA, you can imagine what happened after that. That was after the studio put out a game I've never played called Medal of Honor Warfighter, because it's called fucking Warfighter. That title screams mediocre modern military shooter, and I may be of the opinion that those games are a cancer upon first-person shooters regardless of their quality. That meme isn't dead in this timeline either? Jesus. Undying isn't like that at all. It's a great game, probably one of the best horror shooters I've ever played. Let's go on a journey, kids, into an abyss of terrifying creatures and family drama. It all starts with the Great War.
I'm tired of traveling, or fighting superstition and its many manifestations. Even though it was me who chose to debunk folklore and mysticism. Little did I know I'd end up being labeled as Patrick Galloway, the man with endless occult knowledge. The more I saw, the more I believed there are forces beyond our control. Creatures not explainable in any human terms. Things that make my skin crawl.
Naturally, Patrick got himself involved in World War I in a special unit led by Jeremiah Covenant, who wins the award for most ominous biblical name, even though I'll be damned if anything in this game comes out of the Bible. He gets attacked by a tribe of Drasantes, some mystical pirate types. Oh, we'll get to them. And you've only got this 2-minute intro, which is pretty good, especially by the standards of in-engine Unreal 1 stuff. I mean, look at the character animations. Anyway, Jeremiah saves Patrick's life and he comes into possession of this magic stone that, it does stuff. Like amplify magic powers and this. I don't use it a lot, there's way better weapons.
I hadn't given any of this much thought until I came back here to find this letter that Jeremiah wrote me almost 6 months ago, asking me to come back to Ireland and help him out. This is not something I'm dying to do, for it may mean the death of me. He saved my life though, so I owe it to him. Just hope it's not too late.
Patrick has his reasons, which are understandable. Let me dig through some of these logs. Oh, yeah. He killed a girl, or rather someone killed a girl and framed him for it. It's, you'd be amazed how much backstory they wrote for this, or supposedly Clive Barker wrote for this. And it's good. Look, I don't play games with good stories very often, okay? And we're in it, a big spooky mansion, and I mean big. This place is ridiculous. I didn't know where to put this in the rest of the video, but here's Patrick walking backwards. Right off the bat, you got magic powers. This is Scrything, which is the game's spooky button. You'll just be hanging around someplace and a creepy voice will say, cool.
I'm Patrick Galloway, a friend of Jeremiah's. Sorry it took me so long to get here. His letter said it was most urgent.
Jeremiah was beginning to think that the letter never arrived in your hands. He's been quite anxious to see you. We've all been quite worried. I apologize for the look of the house, but there's only a skeleton crew of servants now. Jeremiah let go of everyone else, and the house is much too large for us to clean.
Oh man, that's not gonna go well for you guys.
This family's had so much tragedy. I hope you can help him.
I mean, probably not, since at this point, okay, well, there's 5 siblings and 3 are dead. One is presumed dead, and the other is dying. In case you didn't think Clive Barker was involved, you get a ghostly visit from Aaron Covenant, who is an asshole, and he's gonna get his. Yeah, whatever. We got a cool secret shooting gallery to get into. I haven't played this game in years, I don't want to go through the trouble of doing this properly. You do 5 waves in a bonus round and you get the ectoplasm spell early, and if you stick with it, you get the shotgun early, which is extremely useful in the early game, it's just that you have to be able to hit these goddamn bats. I can live without it.
Patrick, you made it.
At your service, Jeremiah. Sorry for the delay, but I've been abroad. What happened to you?
It seems I've come under the watchful eye of the Reaper, my friend. I didn't summon you here to watch me die. I need your help.
Anything I can do. Just name it.
Strange events began happening around the manor. After thinning out my staff, they ransacked my estate, taking whatever they could carry.
Okay, I get you. We gotta put the fear of God into the staff so they don't steal any of this valuable shit from dead people, or mess up the house, or unionize. This doesn't seem supernatural, but I'll go full Pinkerton on these vaguely Irish motherfuckers.
Of course, Jeremiah. The only reason I risk coming back here is to assist you however I can.
My thanks to you, Patrick.
What the hell is that?
Sounds like it came from downstairs.
Okay, yeah, time to crack some skulls. Oh god.
Can you describe what you can only see? As the bonds of flesh are broken, the world becomes apparent.
Cool. We're 10 minutes in and it's time to fight some supernatural horrors. And Undying doesn't disappoint. These are the Howlers, the first enemies you'll encounter, and they show up pretty frequently for the rest of the game. They move quick, they do a lot of damage, they come in packs, have a few variations, weak, medium, strong, and give you a good idea of how the enemies in this game will work. Most monsters aren't pushovers, and the beginning of the game really hammers home how unprepared you are for this stuff. The enemy AI is actually pretty good most of the time. These things roam the countryside. Like, you get a sense while playing this that they occur naturally, like they belong. These monsters have these long, drawn-out, but cool kill animations that I've almost never been able to get out of. I try the spacebar and the escape key and the mouse button, and sometimes it just pauses it. It sucks, I don't care for it. You'll see these a lot less in the late game when you have all your badass powers. The beginning of this game puts you on a knife's edge, scraping by with very little health, ammo, or knowledge of where the fuck you're supposed to go. My one big complaint about this game is navigating this giant house. It's not like an open world. You have a path to follow, but no map. You usually have to find a door that'll open for you, getting a lot of...
Stuck. Jammed. Stuck. Won't budge.
If you can deal with that, this game has a lot of good stuff that makes up for it. Time to get out of this obviously haunted house.
Those beasts were after me.
What in God's name were those things?
They're called Howlers. And while I've never seen one before tonight, I've heard of them for years.
Those weren't natural, my friend. We're fighting more than superstitions here.
No shit.
When I was a boy, I encountered something I can't quite explain. You see, there was this isle of standing stones that sits just off the estate. Someone had carved a sigil into each of the stones, something indiscernible. Father had many books on the occult, one of which contained a sketch of that very symbol. I took my brothers and sisters out to the island and read from my father's book.
Normally I'd say this was a mistake. I mean, it was. You read from creepy books, you get creepy shit. But everything that goes on in this game, I'd read from the fucking Necronomicon before going near any of this. You wake up in your quarters the next morning and get the ectoplasm spell, which you're gonna need. See, spells in this game are good and useful. You might have noticed your gun is in your left hand, which is somewhat weird. Your right hand is for spells. This messes with me because you have to, on the fly, be able to switch between about 20 weapons and spells. And you don't have enough number keys. So I have the same problem I'd have in like Jedi Knight, except this game has a weapon wheel. Hold down a button and it works just like it does in modern games. It might be the first time I saw one in a shooter. It comes in handy because of all the weapons and spells you'll have to juggle by the end of this game.
Tell me what you know about Lisbeth.
Why, she was a fetching young lass. Quite the fiery temper, though. She could be placid and calm 1 minute, and then suddenly she's spitting curses and swinging her nails at you like an animal.
Sounds like my kind of girl.
Following her mother's death, I'd raised Lisbeth like my own.
Ah, okay, so this is your fault.
Now she rests with her poor mother at the family mausoleum. The groundskeeper claims to have seen her recently. Oh man, seeing a ghost is never a good omen.
I'd still hit it. I'm not out of Elizabeth's room for 10 seconds before...
Help me!
God damn it, I forgot to switch to the ectoplasm. The servants in this mansion are, I don't see all of them die, and there's only like 3 character models between them, but they're Crystal Lake camp counselors. They're more likely to get dead than the dude with the ambiguous terminal illness. You can even kill him yourself, but, all this time, you'll be finding notes with backstory, which I can't even begin to get into in this video. Covenant Dad seemed to be pretty obsessed with all this cult stuff, probably because his kids went out and performed a horrible ritual that may or may not have turned them all into evil, bloodthirsty lunatics. And also Otto Kaisinger. This is Elizabeth's chapter. Why do we gotta talk about Otto Kaisinger? Why do we gotta bring that asshole into this? Kaisinger is an Aleister Crowley wannabe. Actually, maybe he's more than that considering all the shit he gets up to in this game, but he's an old enemy of Patrick's because he may or may not be somehow responsible for the murder of an old acquaintance named Gwendolyn, which got Patrick exiled from Ireland in the first place. Anyway, Patrick hates Otto, with good reason, so naturally you have to travel to another dimension from his quarters. Wait, why does he have a bedroom in the Covenant estate? Well, that's because Bethany Covenant, who also hates him but hopes to use him for her own ends, brought him here, and Bethany is... Oh god, just wait until we get to her. You might want to turn off the video now if you're worried about story spoilers, because believe it or not, this is a narrative-driven game. And now you're in a Neros. Cool. Floating void city filled with these... I don't know what these are called, but I hate them. And like the other enemies in this game, their attack patterns can be a little hard to read. And when they attack you, like a surprising amount of projectile-based enemies, they lead their target and end up hitting you, you know, like good AI. Once you get the shotgun, they're less of a problem. But until that, you have to use the Tibetan war cannon you get here. Which is a golden dragon that shoots ice? Okay, sure. It's useful for a while, it slows enemies down, it's hard to aim and becomes practically useless later in the game. Still, fine I guess. Infinite ammo.
I'll show you real magic.
Oh, hi John St. John. Yeah, he's in this game, but the game itself doesn't have proper voice credits, so I can't say for sure which characters he voices. You've also got Lonnie Minella in that cast. I'm sure Otto is John St. John, maybe Aaron too, I can't be sure, so basically, credit your voice actors properly. You fight Kaisinger for a little bit before he runs away and you go back to the mansion so you can deal with Elizabeth. But to do that, you have to go through the mansion some more, deal with Aaron, who's probably your main ghost problem in this game. And you can't shoot him, but you can use an ether trap to dispel his spirit from whatever map you're on. Right here you can do that to get an amplifier, which you use to improve your spells, which of course, I use immediately on the ectoplasm because I don't have any good spells yet. You head out to the mausoleum, only maybe a third of this game takes place at the actual Covenant mansion, if that much. And by now you'll have silver bullets to take care of the howlers a little easier, which for some reason take longer to reload than normal bullets. Okay, game, sure. Here you'll get the Invoke spell, cast it on a dead monster and it'll rise and fight with you. When you cast it, the thing ragdolls or... Okay, clearly that's some kind of glitchiness that they included because in this context, it's kinda cool. Says here there's no accounting for what might happen if you cast it on something alive. So... Oh shit. You're really gonna need it because of these fucking skeletons. Normally, skeletons are easy fodder in a horror game. These fuckers don't die when you put them down, so you need to use Invoke to permanently kill them. And you have to get right in their faces to do that, and it costs most of your mana. You don't see the bastards much after this section of the game, but god damn are they a pain. I just run past them rather than waste ammo. I've read you can kill them with a headshot from the war cannon, but location-based damage in this game seems wonky in that Unreal Engine kind of way, where it takes at least 2 shots to the head to get a headshot. This whole Elizabeth section drags on for a long-ass time. You'll get the impression that all these chapters are going to be like this. They're not. Don't get me wrong, this is a fairly long game. It'll probably take you at least 10 hours the first time through. I remember this game being harder than it actually is, because of the game's first impression, where you have nothing but a 6-shooter and an ectoplasm spell with the accuracy of piss from a hard-on. There's an abandoned monastery on the island, which you have to go through because the monks were in possession of the Scythe of the Celt, which kills things real good and has a secondary attack that leeches health from your enemies at the cost of mana. It's an awesome weapon, one of my favorites in the game. Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But to get it, you have to go through the abandoned monastery, the crypts underneath, dodging skeletons, get Mercury and other artifacts, cast a spell to send you back in time so you can get a key from this guy here that opens a door in the future, and also get the scythe itself. It turns out human enemies are a lot easier to deal with than monsters. You can pistol them for the most part, you don't even need silver bullets, till you get to the few of them that shoot fireballs at you. Then it's time for the good old double barrel. Like the pistol, it has 2 ammo types, regular and phosphorus shells. The phosphorus shells will be more important later, they got a cool effect to them. Speaking of effects, this snow effect that isn't in the game world and is instead displayed on the camera itself because it would be too resource intensive in 2001 to have decent heavy snow weather effects. It's not a bad solution, I guess. I kinda like it. It does the same thing with rain, too. So at this monastery, as soon as you take the scythe, since it's cursed, not really for you, you're fine. But it made a lot of the monks a little crazy. As soon as you get it, the place starts exploding, leading to the ruins you saw before. And also, you're responsible for killing all the monks here, so before you travel back, you're fighting their skeletons. I'm just saying, look at this from the monks' perspective. This dude just shows up one night, boomsticking you and your brothers, takes the artifact you've sworn to protect, nukes your monastery. Now he's back hundreds of years later to re-kill you. The monks may have sucked at their job. They probably shouldn't have left all this 20th century ammo lying around either. But I think they may have gotten shafted harder than anybody else in this story. Once you get that scythe, it's time to go back and deal with Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, you have no idea what you've turned into. Why are you haunting your family so?
I know what I am. I seek vengeance. I was cheated by Jeremiah, and he will die to finish what was begun. You have awoken the past, but you don't know how to stop it. I will rend your bones and serve you to my pet.
Oh boy, Elizabeth. She is a treat. Don't get anywhere near her.
I shall feast on your ear.
You have to wear her down until she's open to attack from the scythe, and then you can take her head off, which is how you have to deal with all the Covenants. And I'll be damned if it isn't satisfying to lop their heads off and watch them drop after all the fucking trouble they put you through. You get a spell out of this too. You run fast. That's all it does.
Watch this! My pets to him I call you! Break his bones and claw his eyes clean! How dare you! The family is to be reunited!
You were saying?
Ambrose, eh? Come to think of it, I may have seen him lurking about. But that's not good news for Jeremiah, I say.
So, Ambrose Covenant isn't so much dead as he is leading some Drasanti pirates in a cove on the island, and nobody but this lighthouse keeper and all these dead servants seem to have noticed him.
You cannot best at Drasanti.
Just before the Trasanti invade the estate, you go to the Standing Stones and get the shield spell, which, at least on normal, kinda breaks the game.
See you in hell.
Some of the Trasanti have it too, but you can magic it away. Heavy attacks can immediately break it. Since we're up against human enemies again, it's way easier. Unless they're tossing dynamite.
I'll kill you for
You can toss dynamite too. It's mostly useful for blowing up walls. You get Molotov cocktails too, but they don't work so good, and I almost never use them. They roll instead of exploding on impact, which is the entire point of those. That's okay. If I want to set something on fire, I have phosphorus shells. Those are good for the killer plants. There are killer plants thanks to Bethany Covenant. Long before you start encountering them in her chapter, there are some in her greenhouse, because I didn't hate her yet. Ambrose was the one who killed Papa Covenant with a pool cue, then, I guess, regrouped on the island in his pirate caves with his room full of treasure. But also this spell, Skull Storm. Just... Now look at it when I amplify it all the way. Great fun, kill stuff good.
Sit close and tell me what trouble my siblings have caused lately.
Ah, yes, brother. What madness has your family caused this time? Let's remember who started this whole thing, Jeremiah. A pity you're so weak you can't finish it. Why'd you bring an outsider into family matters? Afraid you can't stop what you initiated? You, give me the stone around your neck, or I'll kill your dear friend right here and now.
Fine, here's the stone. Now let him go. He's not part of this fight.
Here's where you're wrong. You're a stranger to a fight that's over 2 decades old. Jeremiah has everything to do with this.
No!
Oh no, Jeremiah! I wasn't done re-murdering your whole family yet. Ambrose takes your magic rock and transforms into this. Okay, here we go down the rabbit hole with this shit. Well, if you read your journal entries carefully, which I don't, you'll see the entry for the Gelzapar stone says if you use it too much, a giant dog creature shows up to kill you. I've never made this happen in-game because I don't use the stone very much, and even when I tried to get it to happen, it didn't. But Ambrose puts it in his axe and does this. Maybe there's a cut spell for Patrick that'll do that too. I haven't seen it. There's actually a lot that got cut out of this game, which becomes more obvious the further you go into it. I kid, it's not as bad as Zen. It's a bit long, but it has some cool set pieces. You get to fly by the end of it. This world is populated by stronger versions of the Cthulhu faces you dealt with before, and evil crow monsters that attack you by making you drunk. There's a surprising amount of variety to the enemies in this game. Each chapter could have something wildly different from the last. You also get a lightning spell just before leaving for Aneros, but I don't know, it feels awkward and wimpy. Flaming skulls work better in all situations. What do we have here? Well, I might want to save myself some trouble in the future. I spend like an hour going through this other dimension, finding artifacts, and eventually getting to Kaisinger.
You're risking the mistakes of the past, idiot. You're opening up Pandora's box here. Don't damn humanity with your arrogance, Otto.
Funny, that was what that little witch Bethany said to me before I killed her. It's a quaint little stage we all dance on, Patrick. But I've been waiting too long for this opportunity to be upstaged now.
Your reckless pursuit of power must be stopped!
Yup, that's John St. John alright. Too bad I gotta kick his ass with no trouble whatsoever. This is a two-stage boss fight. The first stage is kicking his ass up here, and the second is kicking his ass down here.
It's a good day to die.
Ah, Otto, the future could have been so different.
You know, one of these days is going to be an episode where John St. John doesn't come up. The weird crow monsters are so grateful that they give me a mana well and send me on my way. That's nice. I hate all of you and this place. Now it's time for Aaron to bust your balls for a while trying to make it through the manor so you can eventually deal with him. First things first, I have a surplus of ether traps from visiting the chapel a while back when the Drasani attacked. I could have gone earlier, but it was at that time overrun with ghosts that I didn't feel like dealing with. Aaron fancies himself an artist and has a studio in yet another part of the mansion you haven't explored yet. He's there, painting, being a dick.
A nut, a detail in canvas. Never had I been far enough away to grasp its entirety.
Is that it? Well, no, because he was killed by his sister Bethany, who's gonna win me over if she keeps doing awesome stuff like that. You have to go to Bethany's cottage because she put his jaw in there and a key, which opens her bedroom, which has a secret passage to a torture room where Aaron is. He's fast. I'm faster. You gotta get one of his hooks caught on the wall so he gets stuck. May have taken me a few tries, but he's getting the chop. And Patrick, who's been nothing but a badass this entire time, gets jump scared and faints, letting Bethany take him into the final section of this game, which is a rushed mess. This is where the game starts to lose me because I played this part a long time ago. I remember it being extremely hard because of how much damage the enemies did. The fact that the two new weapons were a spear launcher that would never reliably kill something even if you removed a third of the contents of their skull with it. And the Phoenix Egg, a guided missile that doesn't do enough damage to even begin to compete with the new monsters in this world. But I was young and dumb and I didn't use the shield. Now it's easy. You can use other spells too while the shield is up. It's only a forward-facing shield, but I can have it up, toss some flaming skulls, block extremely powerful attacks, and slice up all these guys with a scythe, and only one of them thinks to teleport behind me. Bethany is barely a challenge. I shoot at her a lot, more than I probably need to. She spawns monsters, I kill them, eventually I chop her head off and get teleported to...
Well, it looks like you've succeeded. You are full of surprises, Patrick. You've apparently learned to harness that stone's power quite effectively, slain my entire family, done what I could not. You even bested Kaisinger. There must be some vengeful satisfaction there, eh?
You might have seen him get his head chopped off, and that's usually how Covenants are killed, but it wasn't with the magic scythe. And apparently he died in World War I saving Patrick, so he died saving Patrick's life, but not, so there really wasn't much of a risk for him in the first place, was there? What an asshole. He talks for a while, but hold on to your butts, because this is the best moment in this game.
You should be grateful I'm killing you. You won't like the world I've planned. Once I have the stone and drain the power of this old king beneath our feet, I'll show the world the true meaning of reality.
You know what, Jeremiah? You talk too much.
Yep, best moment in the game. Here's your problem. The ritual that the 5 Covenant kids did at the Standing Stones when they were young basically took the seal that was keeping this horrible monster entombed and put it on themselves, and now that they're all dead, It's got tentacles on the edges of this island that'll kill you pretty fast. And also, this,
Alright, pussy, 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 come on in, pussy lovers! This is a pussy blowout!
You have to kind of juggle spellcasting, shooting it in the pussy, shooting it right here in the head to damage it. I use explosives because it's kind of the weak spot, but I'm casting the shield, haste, and skull storm spells while shooting it with a pistol, never really running out of mana. This game makes you too powerful, but God does it feel great.
Where am I? Yo, it can't be.
I'm not done with you yet.
So there is life after death.
I probably shouldn't have killed that dog.
The creature was a guardian, a sentinel of the gate to somewhere. When. The Celtic warrior was just a sacrificial lid on a tomb that was never supposed to be open. Oh sure, I've tried to convince myself that it's all over now. The terror, the battles. I've got to get away and rest, where no one will find me. You see, I looked into the Brotherhood of St. George, and I found other monasteries scattered all over the world.
Sorry, no sequel, sold bad. Great game for the most part. It has some flaws, navigational stuff, some of the weapons are useless, and the whole thing falls apart at the end. Still a lot of fine work from a now dead studio. No, wait, I have an idea. Oh no! I've done something stupid and cursed my entire family. My sister's a werewolf. My brother's a pirate. My other sister's I don't even know, and my other brother is an asshole.
I've got balls of steel.
Oh, John St. John, where will you turn up next?